Welcome to the final segment of our show, the heart of our show, Ballers Bouquets. Too often in the media, people only want to pay attention to the negative and salacious things athletes do and never want to give them their credit where credit is due. Here, we like to make a change.
Right, so let me take it away. So this week, we're actually going to have a bit of a throwback to earlier in this podcast. Way back in September when we first started, actually in our 4th episode, we had a nice Ballers Bouquet story for you about Atlanta Falcons tight end Hayden Hurst approaching Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott after a ridiculous game in Dallas in which the Cowboys came back and won. They shouldn't have. Lots of feelings and emotions with that. But the big story after that game, besides the big Cowboys comeback, was that Hayden Hurst approached the Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott and wanted to thank him for an interview that Dak had done with Graham Bessinger the week before, and that video had aired on YouTube that week. And in it, Dak essentially talked about struggling with his mental health during the COVID-19 pandemic, during the NFL offseason. Dak's brother committed suicide, took his own life, and how that impacted Dak and eventually led to some depression and Dak needing to reach out to mental health professionals. And Dak, publicly speaking on that, did a lot. A lot of players have been much more active and willing to speak about their own experiences and support that since then. And so that was a story that came out after week 4. They both shared the Ballers Bouquet, but this time around, for episode 23 now, Hayden Hurst is going to have the Ballers Bouquet all to himself. So after that week 2 game against the Dallas Cowboys and Falcons, there was some talk about Dak and Hayden Hurst working together to build a kind of mental health awareness program, but that never really came to fruition thus far for different reasons, whether it be COVID or Dak tearing up his ankle and having to have apparently multiple surgeries, which we haven't even talked about on here yet. But nothing happened. But Hurst, of course, kept working on his goals and his mission. He has a foundation, the Hayden Hurst Family Foundation, and through that foundation, he helped raise money for the cause that's near and dear to him, but also for a cause that's near and dear to us here at the Fly Route Pod. Because in December, he released an article and a video on the Atlanta Falcons website that outlined his own struggles with mental illness, with substance abuse, and of course, his 2016 suicide attempt. And so all of those things together generated tons and tons of social media interaction, and Hurst was able to raise over $45,000. And that money went not only to helping establish a mental health awareness program in schools, and we'll talk about that in a moment, exactly what that looks like, but also to pay for treatment, mental health treatment for 50 students in the schools that he worked in. So the Hayden Hurst Family Foundation, which is the foundation that did all the fundraising, donation, and setting this up, works tirelessly each and every day to raise funds for outpatient facilities dealing with mental health and suicide prevention, as well as implementing a social and emotional learning program across schools in Maryland, South Carolina, and Georgia. And so these programs are, of course, important because kids are often a group that is going through so much. Like, I can't imagine the toll of the COVID-19 pandemic on many students, especially middle and high school students who are already probably going through things because that's what you do at that age. But now you have the pandemic, you may not be able to see friends, you may be stuck at home in possibly abusive or harmful situations or around drugs and alcohol, etc. And so this kind of help is truly needed. The Hurst Foundation says, quote, "We truly want to make a difference by providing the funds for our community to help teach adolescents the proper tools to cope with trauma." And this is coming from Hurst. And he said, the foundation who currently, the program that helps kids in this social emotional learning, mental health support is called Funds and Focus, or Funds and Focus for 5 schools. And that program is the kind of marquee that does this outpatient program help. Essentially, the organization, the foundation, partners up with outpatient treatment facilities and the students who need them. And that partnership is what helps facilitate the treatment ultimately. And so obviously a huge shout out to Hayden Hurst and what he's doing and continuing to do by speaking out, raising money, and actually making change in this space, in this country. Something that we are now more comfortable with talking about, but as a country, we still have not done enough about. And I think it is important for everyone to know it's okay not to be okay. And that is the message of this week's Ballers Bouquet. Huge shout out to Hayden Hurst and all the work that he has done, is doing, and will continue to do. I really, really look forward to hearing back from him. I don't know him very well. I don't root for the Falcons, but everything I've seen the past season from this guy makes me really want to root for this guy. He seems like a fantastic young man who's gone through it and is using his experiences to help others. And all I got to say is, we've given shout outs before, but if you need help, especially with everything going on right now, get help. It's perfectly okay. It is perfectly normal not to be okay. If anything, not being okay makes you more human. So that was this week's Ballers Bouquet. We will see you next Friday.